Hi, and welcome to Career and College Matters. I'm your host, Dr. Mildred Charles, and I want to sincerely thank you for tuning in to our show. The purpose of our show is to talk about important topics surrounding today's college and career concerns. Our goal is to inform, to empower, and to inspire you, our viewing audience, with information that can help you discover and achieve your career purpose. Our topic for today's show is preparing students for college, work, and life. And I'm so honored to have our guest on the show. Her name is Toni Smith, and she's the founder and executive director of InReach, a nonprofit organization in Largo, Maryland. Toni, thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about how you started InReach?
So I started InReach in 1999. I was in between jobs, and I figured it was a great time to fulfill a dream and to just get started. And so that's what I did. I started the paperwork, the state paperwork, and a year later the federal paperwork. But I just started. I was also the PTA president at my daughter's school, and I knew that whatever I did was going to have something to do with education and young people. And so I actually started. Well, her school was the second program. My first school was the high school program, Youth Ambassadors. And I started, and here I am, almost 18 years later.
18 years later, wow, that sounds like a calling. And I'm familiar with your mission statement, which I believe is absolutely wonderful, but could you please share with our audience what that is and why you came up with that?
So the mission statement is to prepare students for college, work, and life. And initially it was a little different than that, but I worked for an organization, the Forum for Youth Investment, and when they changed their language, they used college, work, and life. And so I actually thought, oh, that works, because that's exactly what, I want InReach to do. And the language before was a little different, but it was basically meant the same thing.
Which is interesting, preparing students for college, work, and life. So 18 years ago, was the mission statement as important and relevant as it is today?
Yes, still just as important. Wow. Now, though, 18 years, there are more programs. So when I started InReach here in Prince George's County, and it's focused on the county only, there were very few freestanding after-school programs. So the whole thing was about after-school and having more things for students to do after school, especially with academic support and just the whole enrichment piece. And so it's just as important. It seems like more important.
Even now,
seems like things are actually worse. So I don't know if they can actually think they would get better, but I don't know if I think that they are better.
Gotcha. So. And so what are the benefits of an after-school program based on your experience?
Well, number one is the academic support. So it's great if you have a child that needs additional support, and nowadays a lot of students do, especially public schools, and the change to the Common Core curriculum. And so the academic support, but also exposure. So through enrichment activities, students can be exposed to different things like chess, the field trips to all the many rich places in the DC area, and other students, other children, their peers from different backgrounds. So, and it's just something that's better, I think, for a child to be in an after-school program than to go home and just be alone or watch TV, and not focus. They're usually not doing too much if their parents aren't around. So especially the younger students. So the teens, they may work or do some other things, but it feels it's a good way to have a child involved in something else.
So why do you, and I agree, absolutely, because it sounds like a lot of benefits, but why do you think there are parents who don't, believe in after-school programs? Why are they not utilized as much as they need to?
Well, I think they would utilize them more if there were more programs available. So for instance, InReach has a 21st Century Community Learning Center after-school program, College and Career Ready, for K through 8 students. And we have 3 partner schools.
And the partner schools are?
The partner schools are William Paque Elementary, Carrollton Elementary, and Kim Moore Middle School.
Good.
And so But we only work with about 50 students at each school.
Oh,
well, each one of those schools have over 600 students. And so I can only take 50 students, and most of my students have to have an academic need. The whole program is focused on students who have an academic need. And so a lot of times it's not that there are not enough programs at the school, or the child may not qualify.
Gotcha.
And so I don't think that as parents don't want students in after-school programs. I just think that there aren't enough, and they may not know about the ones that exist. Or their child may not qualify.
Okay, so how you said that the child has to qualify based on an academic need.
Right.
So what would be some example of those types of academic needs?
So for MREACH, the student has to be performing below proficiency.
Okay.
In math and or English, language arts, or both.
Okay.
And so that's the qualifier. And we do have some student, we may have a student who's performing well in English but not math. And we look at report card grades and the standardized tests.
Okay.
Because the whole point of the 21st century is to help improve the academic life of a student.
Okay.
And the enrichment, so the whole child, but it's focusing on the academic piece.
The academic piece, exactly. So then with the K through 8, you were talking about your program. Could you tell us specifically, give us some more examples about, like, what type of services and what do you do in that program itself?
So for the College and Career Ready,
yes,
21st Century program, it operates at each school 3 days a week.
Okay.
And so we actually are fortunate enough to be able to hire certified teachers. So most of our teachers work in the school building where the students attend the program. And we have at least an hour a day of reading or math, reading and math and enrichment. And so for us, it's, it can be creative in how we do that based on the curriculums we select. For me, going into this new year, what I've learned, this has been a 3-year grant.
Okay.
And we're entering our 3rd year.
Okay.
So it's been a process.
Okay.
What I'm learning this year, well, I don't know if I can say what I've learned, but what we know to be true is that the students who need help, they do not have a good foundation. So they are not reading on grade level, and or they're not, their math skills are below, way below. Actually, the reading math scores are lower. Students are less proficient in math than they are in reading. And so for me this year, and just monitoring the last 2 years, it's been about focusing on how can we strengthen the basics of those students.
Gotcha.
And so the curriculums, I get to choose the curriculums we use. In the past, we've used computers, we've used online portals. Prince George's County Public Schools actually has a lot of great resources for students. But what I found after this last school year is that nothing can take the place of the human touch.
That is
so
true.
Like actually working with a student and answering the questions and having them write and read in front of you. So we're moving more towards that and away from technology.
That's interesting.
At least technology for the academic component.
That's interesting. And so how are your parents responding to, the program in terms of the services that you're offering their kids?
Well, we have a family academy, so attached to that is a family academy, and most parents, we survey them sometimes in the beginning of the year, but definitely at the end, and most of them are happy with the program. They do not hesitate in sharing their thoughts, but most are happy. They would like to see the program operate 5 days a week if possible. And there's always a call for assistance with homework.
Okay.
And so which makes sense because with Common Core math, gosh, the way children are being taught to do math is very different than when we were taught to do math.
Yes, and I can't even remember half of that stuff, so I could only imagine.
Right, so a lot of times we have to communicate with the parents how it's done.
Yes.
And then hopefully they'll be able to help the students and we help the students. But math for me, it's like, it's like a big thing.
And most of us could definitely agree with that. And you talked about some of the teachers that are actually working. Are the teachers doing it on a voluntary basis, or are they
No, so the beauty
contracted?
of the 21st Century program,
yes,
which is a federal program operated through the states that we must ensure is not cut by the current president.
Okay.
And to make sure that we keep the funds up for the following years for this program, because it was on the chopping block a little bit earlier this year for the next fiscal year. The beauty of it is there is not another entity that I'm aware of that will provide as much funding for a program as the 21st Century program.
Wow.
So for instance, I mean, I serve up to like 140 students.
Yes.
And the most expensive part of that, obviously, it's the teachers.
Yes.
That's like the largest part of the budget, and it's the most expensive part, but it's the most necessary part because they're experienced, they know what they're doing, and they spend most of the time with the students. And so that's a big part of it, and we received the largest amount of money than InReach has ever received. I mean, in 3 years, it's almost $1 million.
Wow, that's
and
very.
So it's good for the funding, but it's also good for how rigorous the reporting is.
Wow.
So
because I guess it's a federal program, so
right, so federal through the state, and there's a lot of reporting.
Okay.
And so in my first year of it, it was quite an adjustment.
Wow.
But as time has gone on, I see the value of that reporting. So it's a lot of accountability.
And compliance,
right?
right?
And compliance.
Yes.
You say that you're helping students. How are you doing it? What do you use? Does it work?
Exactly.
And I believe it does work.
Yes.
And it gives students a safe place to go to after school. And they can learn and they can practice their skills and they can get better.
Exactly. So then, with the students that are actually going through your program, can you tell us some success stories about, the improvement that you just mentioned?
Well, the improvement that I'm most pleased with from the last school year, 2016 to 2017, is that, so part of our reporting is that the school day principals complete a survey.
Okay.
On answering a series of questions on how the students have progressed based on what the teacher sees or has seen during that period of time. And this year we've seen an increase in homework. So they're doing better with homework, or we're doing better helping them with homework, and I'm seeing an increase in the homework reporting from the teachers.
Okay, good.
So that for me, that's a big thing, because that's what the parents, in every evaluation, homework is the #1 thing that they want their kids to have more help with.
Okay.
And so this year I'm like, I'm trying to think, I hope we're doing a better job. And so when I look at the reports, the evaluations, I'm like, okay, that's good.
That is very good.
That's good.
So basically, with that improvement, would you say that the student is learning to be are they able to do the homework on their own with less assistance?
I think they're able to comprehend the homework.
To comprehend, yeah.
Better,
okay.
And hopefully better able to ask for the type of help they need.
Okay.
And so I think working with the school day teachers, all of the teachers who work with our program are just super.
That's wonderful.
They're great teachers, especially at William Paca Elementary.
Okay, shout
Those
out
teachers
to William
are
Paca.
super. And so
that's wonderful. Yeah. And so how many teachers, because you mentioned you had about 50 students at each of 3 schools.
So we like to keep a 1-to-10 ratio.
Okay.
So we'll have a base of 5 teachers.
Okay.
So if we have 5 students, we'll have a base of 5 teachers. We actually end up having more teachers because then we have an enrichment component. So we may have a teacher that does the reading and math, but we have an art integration program. So we usually try to have the art teacher do the art integration program.
Gotcha.
And we'll do something like the middle school. We had Media Smart this year, which is this great curriculum. And so the teachers actually did that. The middle school teachers are super too. They're actually really cool.
That's wonderful.
They deserve to be in middle. They're like the right teachers for middle school.
The right teachers, and it takes a special type of person to be a teacher,
Right.
and so that's absolutely wonderful. And the fact that our residents, our children can benefit from the 21st Century program. I just always want to commend people such as yourself who have the heart to serve and who want to make a difference in our children's lives. But that was one program, and I know you have some other programs that you want to tell us about.
So InReach has 2 programs. We have the K-8,
yes.
College and Career Ready, 21st Century, After School Program, and the Family Academy, and we have the Youth Ambassadors High School College Access Program. So the Youth Ambassadors Program is probably the nearest to my heart because it's the first program I started.
Yes, exactly.
And I personally adore working with teenagers, and I know it's like the part that usually most people don't like, but I actually really like it.
Yes.
And so that's the program that's been in existence the longest. And the whole point of that is to help high school students figure out what they want to do with their lives after high school.
That is
and
so
to get
important.
ready for it.
That's
so preparing for the test, looking at colleges, knowing that there are many colleges, not just University of Maryland or Howard or Bowie, or all the many ones in this area, but there are wonderful colleges and universities all across the United States.
Absolutely.
So that's one, and to broaden their horizons with that and the careers.
Yes.
So I find that we're still students are still very narrow in their career selections.
Absolutely.
So it's like journalism, communications. Nobody wants to be a teacher, which is really sad.
Wow.
And not a lot of my students at least go into medicine. I've had a few, but there's so many different careers.
Absolutely.
Especially now, they're like new careers.
High demand careers.
Right,
exactly.
high demand that pay well. So for me, I would love to see, and I guess I'll figure out how to incorporate it in my program. The students exposed to more of what their opportunities are. And so, which brings to the value of the elementary school program. Because I always think, when you get to high school, I don't think it's too late. I don't think it's ever too late, but college and career readiness really starts in elementary school.
That is
probably
correct.
Even pre-K.
Yes.
It's because it's the strengthening of their academic skills. Like that's the core of being college and career ready. Because you can't get into college if you can't perform.
And then the fact about career awareness,
right.
They're being introduced, at an early age to the world of work,
right.
and then also occupations. That's why we're always asking our children, what do you want to be when you grow up? So by the time they get into high school, we're not asking them that anymore. We're asking them, what do you want to major in, or what college? But if we prepare them along the way,
right.
then they're more confident. And so, can you tell us a little bit about the type of student that is in your high school program?
So in the high school program, my students tend to be, so the high school program focuses on the college and career readiness, but part of it is service learning. So I always say it's the college access program with the service learning heart, because they have to do community service. And they have to practice giving back to their communities.
That's a wonderful component.
And they're great at it. They're much better at organizing and implementing than some adults that I've seen do it. And so mostly I have students who are in the International Baccalaureate program, which tends to focus on global issues. And those students tend to have a bigger picture of life already. They're already thinking a certain way. And advanced placement students. So my students tend to be a little bit more motivated. They are performing pretty well. I would say motivation is the key. So I don't really have to push them to do things. They're already doing things.
Absolutely.
And now the last cohort, we just graduated a cohort from Parkdale High School. That's where our high school program is now. It started off at Northwestern, now it's at Parkdale. In one cohort, the salutatorian and the valedictorian were youth ambassadors.
Okay.
And they were also students that I worked with in middle school through high school.
So you saw their progression.
So I saw the progression, and I actually many of those students I actually still communicate with.
That's wonderful.
And so that's great.
And so as we get ready to wrap up, I know there was another program that you're getting ready to introduce in the new school year. Could you quickly tell our audience about it?
So this year we're introducing STEM Unplugged, the STEM Unplugged Teen Cafe. And this program will focus on bringing together students from the county. So instead of it being a school-based program like our programs traditionally are, this program will be open to students countywide. So we're currently in the process of recruiting for the Teen Cafe board members. And so those students will be responsible for deciding what the topics will be, planning, implementing, and implementing the program really, and they'll have an adult facilitator.
So then if a parent or someone in the viewing audience wants to get in contact with you to find out about this wonderful Teen Cafe, how can they do that?
So they can go to the website, so inreachinc.org, and it's the same for Twitter. We have a Twitter account, InReach Inc. We have Instagram, we have Facebook. It's all InReach Inc. and we have information posted there and links to the flyers because we're currently recruiting for the students.
Okay.
For STEM Unplugged, we're recruiting students for the youth board.
Okay.
So if they go to the website, they can learn so much about us.
That's wonderful. Well, Toni, I just want to commend you again for all the wonderful work and the fact that you're following your passion to work with youth and to serve our youth. We absolutely need it. Thank you, Toni, for being a guest on today's show. We'd love to have you back anytime you have any new programs that you want to share with our audience. And I want to thank you, audience, for watching. Please don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with our segment of Consider This. Thank you.
Oh, emojis! I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you! She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
Help up the hand.
Ah, there you go.
Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Jane!
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework. I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
1 in 5 children struggle with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to understood.org.
Welcome back to Career and College Matters. I'm your host, Dr. Mildred Charles, and in this segment of Consider This, we're going to be talking about the benefits of after-school programs. As we just learned from our wonderful guest, Toni Smith, there are a number of benefits, and we'd like to talk about that with you right now. So let's start with, what are after-school programs? Well, they're organized programs that youth can participate in outside of the traditional school day. After-school programs are sometimes called OST, or out of school time. And they also provide academic support, mentoring, youth development, arts, and sports in terms of recreation. So why are after-school programs needed? Well, according to the afterschoolalliance.org, 15.1 million kids are left unsupervised after school every day. So there are a number of clubs that are open every day after school where kids can actually go and get support when they need them the most. In addition, after-school programs, they serve as a key resource that helps strengthen communities across the country. They are also an effective way to keep children safe and supervised. And most importantly, 29% of all juvenile offenses occur on school days between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. So the after-school programs provide opportunities that have positive effects on academic success. So how do kids benefit from after-school programs? Well, there are 6 ways that children benefit. The first way is that it creates a sense of belonging. After-school programs give children a chance to connect with others, in a different learning environment. The second way is that it improves social skills. They promote cooperation, support, and respect. The third way is that they provide academic support. So they are after-school programs. They offer structured homework help, and kids are there. They can help improve their study habits. The fourth way is that it also makes learning more fun. Activities are fun because they get to participate in dance, drama, athletic sports, and so much more. Number 5 is that they provide safety and supervision. As I mentioned earlier, the research shows that the hours between 3 to 7 are when kids are more likely to commit crimes, to get in trouble, and become even victims of crime. So we encourage, the after-school programs for that purpose alone. And lastly, they build confidence. After-school programs allow kids to learn, even if they have attention issues, they are in an environment that allows them to grow and is more forgiving than in an actual school classroom environment. And most importantly, they promote self-esteem. So, in conclusion, why should you care? Well, you should care because we all want what's best for our kids. And after-school programs help our children in terms of their academic success, and it improves self-esteem in so many ways. So make after-school the best part of your child's day by looking into after-school programs so that they can just participate and learn how to be their best self. Thank you for tuning in to Career and College Matters. I hope you learned some valuable information from our segment, Consider This. If you have any show topic ideas, please don't hesitate to contact us. You can go online and get our information at www.cacmatters.com. That's www.cacmatters.com. We look forward to having you tune in to our show, where we seek to inform, empower, and inspire.